Your daily dose of sports talk is here. Highlights, interviews, and analysis. From the entertainment capital of the world, SportsWrap with Jason Page starts now.
Welcome to the show. Good to have you with us on this Friday edition of the program. Starting to enter into our summer Friday programming, which, just to give you a heads up, we will have some combination of current daily content that we normally have on Fridays, but we'll also be sprinkling in some of the biggest conversations we've had from the week on Fridays as well. Today will be a great example of that. You will hear from David Aardsma, former MLB reliever and closer. Thoughts with him on a lot of things going on around Major League Baseball, some of the big topics around the game. Kurt Heelan will be here in 10 minutes. My conversation with him, previewing and discussing Game 2 of the NBA Finals tonight in San Antonio between the Knicks and the Spurs. Tino Patino always joins us on Fridays. That will be no different. He will always be here on Fridays. We'll get some thoughts with Tino on the big NASCAR race this weekend in Michigan as NASCAR heads there for the Firekeepers Casino 400. Denny Hamlin right now is the toast of the town in NASCAR. It was Tyler Reddick for much of this season, but now Denny Hamlin. A lot of people starting to ask whether or not this is the year he finally wins a cup title. So we'll ask Tino for his thoughts about that. You can catch him on SiriusXM NASCAR Radio, also on Tubi on the weekend. So we'll have that coming up a little later on in the program. A big ode to women's sports in the odds and ends segment today, because there's a lot to talk about there, including Caitlin Clark, the Women's College World Series, as well as a great story out of the French Open at Roland Garros that you're going to want to hear about. You want an underdog story to root for this weekend? We've got one for you. But we start things out as we always do on this Friday edition of the show. It's time for the big story. And before we get to the big story, the Daily Wrap. Make sure you go and subscribe. If you haven't done so yet, subscribe to our daily newsletter. It's the Daily Wrap. It's free. It's on Substack. It's available Monday through Friday. All you got to do is scan the QR code below and go get access to the Daily Wrap newsletter. If you can't watch the show every day, you can't listen to us on the podcast or check us out on YouTube, we got a million ways for you to interact with the show. The Daily Wrap is the latest. It gives you a rundown of everything we talked about on the show every day. The Daily Wrap newsletter. Scan the QR code, subscribe today. On the big story, look, you've got two series. One of them is tied at 1. We'll get to the hockey in a second. But tonight, we're going to learn a lot about where this NBA Finals series go and where it's going. You know, do the Spurs rebound and get a win tonight? Do they show that, Game 1 was a glitch and not a set component of this series? Or will it be the Knicks that take Game 2? They've won 12 playoff games in a row, which is remarkable unto itself, after taking Game 1 by 10 points in San Antonio. That's the big question on everybody's mind. How does San Antonio rebound from this loss in Game 1? What kind of Victor Wembanyama do we see in this game? You know what you're going to get from the Knicks. They're going to try and muck it up, keep it close, and then get the ball in Jalen Brunson's hands in the fourth quarter. If you are San Antonio, there's no way you could allow Jalen Brunson to beat you again in Game 2. Could you? Or do the Knicks have this thing set up in such a way that they're going to have to find a way to stop Jalen Brunson when it matters most? It's going to be fun to watch. What a finish in Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final last night in Raleigh, where this time around it was Carolina rallying from a deficit, and Tomas Hertl, instead of being the hero in Game 1, might have in part been the GOAT in Game 2, because he takes a penalty in overtime, and it winds up leading to the game-winning goal for the Hurricanes, who get the win by a score of 4-3 in overtime. So congratulations to them. They get that series tied up at 1 game apiece. Hope you took the over on 5.5 games before the series when it started, because it felt like this was a 6 or 7 game series, which is something we have talked about on this show. So we'll see what happens between those two teams as they get set to go back to Las Vegas, where I reside and where this city will be a madhouse for Game 3 of that series. And again, Knicks, Spurs, Game 3 Monday night in New York at Madison Square Garden. So we'll see where those series are when we come back on the show on Monday. Big story number 2 emanates from New York, where the Yankees are going to be without their vaunted slugger and star, Aaron Judge, for the next 4 to 6 weeks at least, because they're going to re-image him, do more imaging and scans of the bone bruise on his, what was thought to be a bone bruise on his shoulder. It turns out it's a stress fracture of one rib. One rib. How much for one rib? If you don't know, you don't know. Go check the movie. So Aaron Judge is going to be out a minimum of 4 to 6 weeks for the Yankees. Now, in past years, you would think this would be crippling for the Yankees, that they couldn't possibly survive. The good news about this Yankee team is the offense this season has been a lot more than just Aaron Judge, but it does put a lot on Ben Rice's shoulders, doesn't it? He has been fantastic. He's a top 5, top 6 candidate right now for MVP in the American League, and those odds may increase with Aaron Judge's absence for the next 4 to 6 weeks, which you would have to think may take him out of the running as far as AL MVP is concerned. But it continues this trend for Aaron Judge where every year he's missing time. Some years it's significant time. This time it's going to be at least 4 to 6 weeks. But again, as I said on the show, it might have been yesterday or Wednesday, I don't know, the days all blend together. If I'm the Yankees, get this right. Get it figured out. You're going to be a playoff team with or without Aaron Judge for a portion of the season. The key is to get him healthy, get him right for the playoffs. The same thing the Braves are doing. They know they're going to be a playoff team. And, barring some cataclysmic, event here. So they say, we're going to let Ronald Acuna Jr. get healthy so we have him for the playoffs. Yankees need to do the same thing with Aaron Judge. 4 to 6 weeks is not the end of the world. But it will be interesting to see what this Yankee offense looks like with his absence. We're coming back. Kurt Helin, Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. My conversation with him previewing Game 2, talking about Game 1. We've also got more baseball coming up later on in the show. David Ardsma will be here, former big league reliever and closer. Tino Patino later on to talk NASCAR as well. Don't you go anywhere. Welcome back to the show. Game 2 of the NBA Finals on Friday night. Knicks and Spurs after the Knicks rally in Game 1 to beat the Spurs by 10. Favored by 6.5 are the Spurs in Game 2. Knicks now favorites to win the series at -132. Spurs at +112. Had a chance to catch up with our friend Kurt Helin recently, Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com in San Antonio. He's joining us throughout the series. Wanted to get his thoughts on Game 1 before we talked about Game 2. So, your big takeaway from Game 1 of the NBA Finals is?
Well, look, it does have to start with Brunson, right? Like, this is the kind of game that moves you from Knicks legend to like that mythological status that he's kind of approaching now, where like he had to limp off the court in the first quarter, right? Like he was, and then Luke Cornett steps on his ankle later, and he's hobbled and he still comes up with 13 points and all these clutch plays at the end. So I mean, you have to start there for me, but I also think this game really showed how the Knicks are, I don't want to say built because I don't think this was the intention when building, but they are the perfect construction to give these current Spurs real problems. They were really good they scored 50 points in the paint, like on Wemby, which just doesn't happen. But they were like, Josh Hart talked about it after the game. He's like, hey, you put up the shot, you pull him out. And when he was pulled out, Mitchell Robinson a little bit, mostly Karl Anthony Towns and Josh Hart would come in and scoop in and get offensive rebounds or keep plays going. They did a good job of keeping him on the move and using their size to really wear him down. And I mean, Wemby had 6 turnovers and some ill-advised shots at the end. They did a great job on him.
Yeah, Mitchell Robinson did exactly what I said he needs to do. Just make him uncomfortable, move him around, body him. Just make it difficult so that by the time you get to the end of the game, you kind of had the Wemby that you had, which was a Wemby that was pressing. And this was something you talked about when we were texting last night in your article, the fact that this was not Wemby's finest moment late in this game.
No, it's funny because I'm writing a story about that for today at NBC Sports, and it was, hey, if you look at the raw stats, he's like, he had 26 and 12 and 3 blocks, and the only other guys to do that in their debut are like Shaq and Hakeem, and but if you watch the game, you realize that he had 6 turnovers, and he kept trying to put the ball on the floor. It felt like he was trying to do too much a lot of this game. He wanted to take it over when he had to. Julian Champagnie couldn't miss, but then the Knicks did a great job of kind of limiting him and limiting Dylan Harper, who was fantastic in the first half. And more than anything, Dylan Harper and Wemby, they're the things that scare you about this team long term. Like, dude, they're young and they're still figuring it out, and someday they will. And then what do you do? But right now, you can get to them, and the Knicks did a really good job of that in the first half.
And that's the question: is this just game one jitters? Is it them coming off 7 games and the Knicks with the rust, and the Knicks just in this sort of game of attrition had the answers late? That's that. When I ask about the big takeaway, what does game one portend for the rest of this series, if anything, in your mind, or does it stand alone and now the Spurs sort of make their adjustments and we see where they come out in game 2?
One of my playoff mottos is never overreact to game 1, because it genuinely is the
unless
first
it's game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals against the Cavaliers.
Well, but that did set a tone, you're right. And I think that this one in some ways sets a tone. Again, they showed how they want to play and how the Knicks, how they can be effective. But what really matters in a great series is, I think games 2 and 3 tend to be more telling when you get the adjustments. You're going to get what should be an incredibly desperate Spurs team in game 2, right? Like they know that they can't go down 0-2 and go back to Madison Square Garden where Donald Trump will be rooting for the Knicks and in the building. And I'm looking forward to that moment, by the way. Put him on the Jumbotron for a minute. How do they adjust? And I think you learn a lot more about these Spurs and where this series goes in game 2. But I think you got the vibe that the Knicks can absolutely win the series and know how they need to do it. And Jason, they've been executing this game plan for 2 seasons now? It's largely.
It's remarkable to just watch, a team that hasn't lost since late April, winning 12 straight games. And a lot of people were questioning the competition they were facing in the East coming until now. I think a lot of that goes by the wayside. The odds makers for the series basically have told you so, because now the Knicks are a favorite to win the series at -134 versus the Spurs at +114. By the way, I told all of you that the line was a missed line before the series started, so I am going to take a victory lap on that front, because you could have gotten the number at, Knicks +185 before the series started. So give me a sense. What does Mitch Johnson do in game 2 here, Kurt, in your mind? If you're Mitch Johnson, what's the big adjustment you're making going into that game?
You've got to find a way to get Wemby rolling, and they had to do this against the Thunder, and I think you'll see some adjustment. You've got to get Wemby the ball rolling towards the rim, not as a playmaker. He wanted to bring it up. They wanted him to do. You could see him wanting to take charge in this game. Dude, you got to let De'Aaron Fox be more of the floor general. De'Aaron Fox is as level-headed as they get, and this is why you brought him in. You need Castle and Harper getting downhill. You need to get that momentum going and then kicking out the Champagnies and stuff. So I think you will see a more interesting offensive effort. But frankly, it's going to be, if it continues to be a stuck in the mud kind of series, that just favors the Knicks. Yeah. Like, that is how they like to play. This is their kind of series, and these are these are 2 top 10 defensive teams, number 3 and 7 teams during the regular season who've been better in the regular season, and they create their own problems. Wemby still creates his own problems. The Knicks were 2 of 16 when he was the primary close defender last night. He's still a real problem. They just figured out how to exploit behind him, and it makes you think that the Spurs need to adjust to that. And I also came out of that game thinking, by the way, your next step for the Spurs, you could really use an Aaron Gordon type. Like you could really use that four, like that kind of four. And so could a lot of teams, but I'm saying like next to Wemby, couldn't you really use that kind of guy?
Yeah, it's a very good point. Kurt Heelan, Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. Check out his work throughout the finals. Game 2 on Friday night, and then they have a break till Monday, where you'll have Game 3 at Madison Square Garden, which will be a madhouse for sure. Kurt Heelan, always appreciate you, my friend. Be well.
Take care, my man.
Let's talk baseball. David Aardsma, former big league reliever and closer, joins us every Wednesday. Inside Baseball. SportsWrap goes Inside Baseball. A lot of stories to get to from around the league with him. We'll do that as we continue on this Friday edition of SportsWrap. Welcome back to the show. It's a Wednesday on SportsWrap. You know what that means? We're talking baseball. SportsWrap goes Inside Baseball with the guy whose voice you could hear. I don't know what he was saying because I had him potted down, but David Aardsma is here.
Saying it's the most important sport, without a doubt.
Former big league reliever and closer hangs out with us. May have seen him on the regional coverage from the Eugene Regional at the College Baseball World Series, postseason, whatever the hell they call it. I actually was watching, can I tell you? I actually watched a little bit of this. For some reason, every time it popped on my TV, I was riveted to the softball World Series.
That's awesome.
Oh my
softball
God.
World Series is so much fun. Dude, they play, it's great. They play so fast. The game's happening so much. The girls are into every play. The crowd's good.
The rules are weird.
Watching the softball World Series,
but the rules are weird. Like you could take a pitcher out and put the pitcher back in. I'm like, what is going on here?
Now you could do that in baseball.
Really?
There's nothing stopping us. There's nothing stopping us from taking a pitcher and putting him in right field for a batter, and then bringing him right.
In college,
you can have a pitcher in right field.
In college, you mean?
No, in MLB.
Really? Major League Baseball.
As long as you don't take him out of the game. You can get a couple pitchers and have them be good enough right fielders and have them in right field and then like have a lefty out there and just constantly all game switch. Yep.
Really?
Yeah. Nothing stopping us. We just tend to take a pitcher out and take him out of the game.
Wow. I just learned something new. Okay.
Yep.
There you go. David Aardsma was on the College Baseball World Series, and Eugene, we'll ask him about that in the next segment. I want to get your thoughts on, I want to open this on a bit of a down note, and then we'll get into some of the baseball stuff coming up a little later on. This whole thing with Bruce Meyer and Rob Manfred now. This is the new, Bud Selig, Donald Fear dynamic that's sort of in play here. By the way, that is not Howie Mandel on your screen. That is Bruce Meyer. They are kind of doppelgangers for each other. By the way, in your time being in baseball, was Bruce Meyer a presence back when you were in baseball playing?
Yeah, he was around but I've been associated with the Union so long. Even after I retired, I've been around them and seeing them, and obviously he's been a presence. I was not expecting, as like everybody wasn't expecting what happened with Tony Clark and Bruce Meyer to just kind of take over. But he's a guy. He's a Union guy. He's a strong-minded, strong-willed, and very Union person. So I was okay with it. It just he didn't have that like probably the backing of everybody at the beginning because you were so Tony Clark. But you know what? I'm behind him now.
Well, they better be, because it feels like him and Rob Manfred are already at loggerheads here on this thing. And I get it's the opening salvo. The Players Association gives its first proposal. MLB comes back with theirs. But Bruce Meyer basically was like, I thought they'd at least fake it a little bit, like they were trying to get to a deal. What do the early proposals from both sides tell you? One,
we have to very, very clearly about this. So I was on the negotiating committee for a couple of years for 2 CBAs. I was a union rep, so I will be honest, I'm very pro-union side of this whole thing. I was also a player. there's a lot that happens behind the scenes that you don't know. A lot of conversations, a lot of things that you see on camera aren't necessarily what's being talked about behind closed doors. It's camera work. It's the players' side is usually very straightforward. Like, we know exactly what the players want. Everybody knows what the players want. So what their players are communicating is usually pretty accurate to their argument. The owners on the other side, like, sometimes there are a lot of different factions of the ownership that don't all agree with each other. Their job on the ownership side, on the lead negotiator side, is to try to get all these different factions on the same page. It is not easy to get a Yankee owner, Dodger owner, Rocky owner, Marlins owner, Rays owner, Pittsburgh owner to get all on the same page and to tell the Yankees and the Blue Jays, Dodgers, hey, you're going to pay a lot of money to these teams. These teams, by the way, like, you're going to get a lot of money, but you have to spend it. There's a lot of different arguments there. So sometimes these proposals that you hear publicly aren't what's all going out there. But we know there's two main spots that I guarantee you are accurate. They want a cap. Owners or players don't want a cap. I'm fine with them putting their lines in the sand. We all know it. We all knew it ahead of time. The key with the players, because there's so many constituents, so many players, they can't be unclear about exactly where their line is. They can't play this soft game with a sour cap. It has to be a hard line. It's been a hard line since the moment the union has been in existence.
Yeah,
that line has never changed. The owners have always tried to press against it, and the line has never changed. They've moved on luxury tax. They've given on the draft. They've basically given caps on draft picks. Internationally, we've created these caps basically on international players, but there has to be a hard line somewhere, and I'm glad they took it.
All right. If these are the lines, though, if this is the end all be all, owners, Manfred, want a cap, the players don't. Is this the time where this thing finally gets to a point where neither side budges and we do have a work stoppage? And if not, why?
The only thing I'm worried about is that these players, this entire generation, have had pseudo caps in different ways their entire existence, and that this group of players, because of that, might have softened up on a hardline cap. But at the end of the day, I do believe there won't be a cap. I believe there will be stronger luxury tax or stronger forcing lower market teams to spend money at the same time and putting harder lines on the upper level teams. I think there'll be harder lines within contracts that you can't do a Shohei type of contract ever again. Stuff like that. There won't be a
backload. You mean deferred compensation. That
with
sort of
deferred
thing.
compensation. With the way that entire contract was built, there's going to be stronger things like that. Stronger things where the Dodger ownership group, when they shifted over years ago, how they basically got to take advantage of the Major League Baseball system, which is what put them in this position right now where we're at. Things like that get to be re-looked at. I think there will for sure be changes there. There will be no cap. We will have a work stoppage of some sort. There's not going to be a cap.
David Ardsman's hanging out with us. We're going to do another segment of baseball with him, get to some stuff on the field as we continue on this Wednesday edition of SportsWrap. Welcome back to the show. Enjoy baseball. There's going to be a work stoppage, says David Ardsma. That's the headline.
One of the interesting things about the proposal is that how the owners are all of a sudden, these small market teams can pay up to $150 million, and they have all this money that they're okay with. No change, but all of a sudden they can spend $150 million, a Pittsburgh or whoever can spend $150 million. Like, where did that come from? And why aren't they doing it now? Now they can spend this money. They have it. We're okay with that. But now they're spending 60, 70, and all of a sudden they don't have money. It's an interesting conversation.
All right. Let me get your thoughts on a few things here. Aaron Judge,
yes.
Aaron Judge, shoulder, bone bruise, going to miss a few days. They're going to have him examined by Dr. Ahmad, it sounds like. So how concerned should Yankee fans be given the fact that he's obviously had some of these injury issues, the shoulder, the elbow, whatever you want to worry about it being? How concerned should Yankee fans be when they hear about this?
One, Dr. Ahmad is an awesome doctor. He was my doctor for a surgery. Incredible person, incredible doctor. He knows what he's doing. Two, okay. I wouldn't be too concerned, other than bone bruises tend to take time, and there's nothing you can do. There's nothing. There's a lot of things you are going to be doing,
right? But
rest. That's the biggest problem with this whole thing. Is rest is the number one way to get rid of a bone bruise. And if it's bothering that much, I think they can get to a point where there's a day-to-day manageable situation. It's just, how do you do it at this point? For me, I rest him as much as I can right now, take my lumps, have my team get beat up a little bit so I can have a healthy July, August, or just August, September, October, hopefully November.
Later in the show, we're going to show the Joe Adele off the head.
No, we don't call him Joe.
Run.
He's not Joe anymore.
What is he?
Jose.
Okay. Jose Adele?
Jose Canseco, Joe Adele.
Yeah, and I'm Jose Canseco! All right, so he has a ball go off his head. It's all emblematic of what's going on with the Angels, how big of a disaster this is. Do you imagine them being big sellers at the deadline? And is a guy like Adele, as much as we're laughing about him right now, is he the kind of guy that could go at the deadline?
Possibly, without a doubt. We've been in this kind of middle ground with this team for a long time.
Right now, they're last in all of baseball. I mean, they're terrible.
I mean, what are they, 23 and 39? I mean, again, yes, the last in baseball. The Royals are right there with them. Like, who thought the Royals would be there?
Yeah.
The Mets aren't far away from them. The Giants are there. There's a lot of teams in this weird spot that we didn't think the Angels would be this bad. We thought they'd be 500. They do have a lot of talent on that team, a lot of middle tier talent. The problem is they have a lot of middle tier talent. They have a lot of middle of the road guys. Without a doubt, I think they're at a point now with Joe Adele. He's got 4 years in. This is his 5th year. You get something for him, right? You get something for some of these people.
Yeah.
I love Zach Neto. I love some of these players. But they have such a middle of the road lineup that if I saw them on a Tuesday night, I'd be like, yes, the Angels. All right. I love Mike Trout with every little bit of my heart. He's having a resurgence of a type of season.
Sure.
And still,
but he doesn't want to get traded. He doesn't want to. I mean, he's had so many opportunities to waive his no trade, and he doesn't do it.
Sometimes you get punched in the face enough and you kind of might want to give it a shot.
Phillies?
To me, if he ever wanted to just get a fresh look, get a fresh set of coaches and doctors and all that stuff, get out there a little bit. At this point, you're 35, just get an opportunity. I think there's people here that can move, and if I'm the Angels, I'm moving all of them.
Yeah, because
I might, you've just built a team around Neto. I might, because there's no one else. I mean, I love Joe Adele.
If it's not bolted to the floor, I think they should consider moving it at this point.
Everybody. I mean, the whole team's hitting 230 basically.
If you are the Detroit Tigers, are you dealing Skubal?
I am. If I haven't already been able to sign him to a long-term deal, you don't have enough money in Detroit to be able to sign him. You can combine all the teams and combine their money, try to sign him. I know obviously he's still coming back from his thing, but at this point, with what we've seen from this team and where they've gone from super contender right in the middle of it, in the thick of everything, to out.
Who could give them the best? Who could give them the best? Who could give them the best package?
The Dodgers.
Stop it. Stop it.
They're all reality, right? They can give them major league ready players.
Stop.
they can give them major league ready baseball players, and the Dodgers can move maybe even some of their salaried guys.
Well, you are ruining my Wednesday right now, man.
I'm ruining it, but they're going to be in the heart of it. They're going to be in the thick of it. When you're looking at it, the Padres might be really interesting. I just don't know if the Padres front office wants to be able to take something like that on when considering where they're at. I mean, the Cubs. If I'm the Cubs, I'm super highly considering this. It's an interesting spot because right now, if you all you have to give up is prospects. So you're looking at like a Pittsburgh who might be an interesting position. A Guardians might, if they'd ever be even consider that type of thing. Every team in the Beast of the East might consider it. I guarantee they're all going to be in conversation.
Yankees. The one team you didn't mention is the Yankees. Do they not have enough prospects?
I don't know if they have. I don't know if the Yankees have enough real prospects.
David Aardsma, he's going to hang for a couple extra questions for the YouTube audience. Always does a great job. So SportsWrap going inside baseball. If the Dodgers get Scooble, I'm just not watching baseball anymore. I've already decided. David, always appreciate you, my man.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the show. Good to have you with us on this Friday. Giving you some of the best conversations we had this week on the program. We'll be doing that on Fridays throughout the summer. But there's one thing that will always be here on Fridays in the summer. Come rain, come shine. That friend of mine, Tino Patino, is here because it's a NASCAR Friday. Let's go. All right, can I just say on the outfit this week, you have the usual gold jacket, but you also look like you're about to go do like a DJ wedding singer sort of thing because of the dress shirt underneath. Are you going to court afterwards? Like, what's going on here?
No. Figured I'd switch it up. If you want to, I have an actual response. I wore this shirt last night, Press Club of Long Island Awards dinner.
Okay.
Me and the radio team that I help advise over at the high school won 11 awards. So I haven't taken it off since.
I love it. Very cool. I respect that. And having gotten my start in broadcasting years ago on my high school TV local access station. That is where I started in 1994. 1994. God, I'm old. That I have a very fond appreciation for local access, local programming, high school programming, and it's great that you were able to do that. All right, let's talk. Even though you're only a few years removed from high school, and I'm 30 plus years removed from high school. So let's talk NASCAR. Now that I've made myself incredibly depressed. Denny Hamlin. He is the story right now. Tino Patino. He is, sort of ruling the roost. Is this the year? Is this the year that Denny Hamlin finally wins a Cup championship, Tino Patino?
Well, Jason, you are aging like fine wine, just like Denny Hamlin seems to be. It just seems every year we ask if it's his year, and it's not. But every year since we started asking that question, it just seems like the odds get even better for him because he keeps winning more races and seems to be more dominant. Now, I prepared myself, as I always do, but this was a tricky one for me because I'm like, what's making Denny even better or more separated than he was last year? Because last year really looked like the year as well. I have an answer.
Okay.
It's the speed from the Toyotas. And it is a combination of Denny Hamlin himself being great, speed from the Toyotas, but the lack thereof of the Chevys. You're not seeing him battle it out with William Byron. Kyle Larson's in the mix sometimes, but not as much as he should be.
No.
The Fords are really nowhere to be found. You can pick two on every given week. It's it's Busher and Blaney. But I mean, when we look at the Toyotas on a week-to-week basis, you have Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, Chase Briscoe, Tyler Reddick, who I should have mentioned second. All these guys, Ty Gibbs, that's 5 Toyota drivers. This week, when you check the odds, 4 Toyotas take up the first 4 spots of the favorites. To me, this is a year where a Toyota should win the championship. should be Denny, but at very least, a Toyota needs to get it done because their speed is so much better than everyone else.
He wins in Nashville last week. He won this race last year, the Firekeepers Casino 400 in Michigan. What is it about this track that sets up so well for him? He's the favorite this week at plus 380. Tyler Reddick at 6-1. Christopher Bell at 6-1. Kyle Larson at 8-1. And then Chase Briscoe and Ryan Blaney at 11-1, according to FanDuel.
This Michigan racetrack, 2 miles long, so the one of the larger tracks we go to that's not specifically a super speedway. Now you still get some drafting elements to it with very long straightaways, very fast corners. Back a few years ago, they were going 219 into turn 1. It's a little bit less now, but at the same rate, that's what makes Denny one of the best at this track, as it does Larson, as it will Reddick, and some of the other drivers out there. But these are the guys you got to keep an eye on, and it's just like every track we go to, Denny seems like he has the best chance to win, or at least a great chance to do so. Everyone out there, I can't think of Larson should be the same way, but he's not because of the speed like I just mentioned. It's right now Denny Hamlin versus Tyler Reddick, and I'm very sure that I'll say this too. Last week at Nashville, Tyler Reddick finishes 6th, gets on a post-race interview, and he's like pissed off. And that was cool to see because this is a driver that has, let me check the standings, a 97-point lead over said Denny Hamlin. So I think they're both in championship mentality to start the year.
How much concern do you have for Kyle Larson at this point? He's 6th in the playoff standings, but obviously still searching for that first win in a while. How concerned are you about Larson right now?
I'm concerned more so for Chevy than Larson. Now, at the same rate, he's still on that winless streak. It's been over a year since he's won, and he's won a championship in between. So maybe that's something to take away from it, but he's got to win at some point. And this is my same, so we can connect the dots here, because my thought about Denny Hamlin, I'll never get on your show and say to fade him, because obviously he should be on your card every week. But with that being said, he's been so good. There has to be one week, one moment to where they slip up. Could be pit crew, could be blowing tire, could just be him running in second to Tyler Reddick. Either way, I think it could be a perfect storm this weekend. We could see Kyle Larson, who has 4 top 5s in the last 6 races at Michigan, 3 wins here in his career, none in the 5 car though. This could be the moment to where Denny's been so hot last week, starting first, getting a penalty, going all the way to the back, and then finishing first. Maybe he used up all of his luck.
I have 30 seconds. Who wins this week?
Oh, great question. I'm going with Tyler Reddick this weekend over Denny Hamlin. In all sports, you have momentum, you have a good hot streak, but it has to come to an end. I think Denny's comes to an end, but that could still mean a top 3 finish. Keep an eye on Ty Gibbs, Chris Buescher to be the top Ford for sure. And like I mentioned with Kyle Larson, he's going to be up there. Maybe Carson Hocevar as well. That's the home track.
That's right. It is Carson Hocevar's home track. Good point there. Tino Patino, NASCAR, SiriusXM NASCAR Radio on the handicapping side. Tubi as well this weekend. Always appreciate you, my man. Go get your own checkered flag.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the show. Just about time to put the wraps on this baby for a Friday. Before we do, a couple of reminders. If you haven't done so yet, make sure to subscribe to the Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast, available on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Odyssey, Amazon. This thing is growing quickly. Our downloads have really surged here as of late. So grateful for those of you that have been checking out the podcast. We have the full-length version of the show, audio only, available via the podcast. It is fantastic. I promise you, it's 45 minutes, largely commercial-free, just a couple of commercial interruptions in there because we've got to pay bills. Daddy needs a new pair of shoes. So you'll definitely want to go and check out the Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. Extended conversations, bonus podcasts, all available when you subscribe. It's free to do so. Go and do it on your favorite podcast provider. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel is the place to find all things Sports Wrap with Jason Page. The Monday through Friday TV version of the show, available each afternoon commercial free in that case, and it's great. We have extended conversations there as well. SportsWrap Shorts also available there. SportsWrap Shorts, 1 to 3 minute long videos on the top stories in sports, the biggest games as well. We have those covered. If something big occurs, we jump in on the YouTube channel with SportsWrap Shorts. SportsWrap Shorts also available on our TikTok and on our Instagram. The screen name there, SportsWrap Jason Page. Go and subscribe to that today as well. And without any further delay on this Friday edition of the show, it's time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends. Congratulations to Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. They knocked off the Atlanta Dream, who have been one of the big stories in the WNBA through the first 9 games of this season. Fever improved to 5-4. They win the Commissioner's Cup matchup with those with those Atlanta Dream. 83-71 the final. Here's all you need to know about Indiana this year, folks. The combination of Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, and Caitlin Clark combining for 61 of their 83 points in this game. That's all you need to know. That is the formula for the Indiana Fever this year. Clark hurled, right before this game, she was, I guess, feeling a little under the weather. Something was bothering her. Caitlin Clark still went for 17 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists. But Kelsey Mitchell, how about this one? 11 of 15, 25 points in the win. Aaliyah Boston had 19. You're wondering about Angel Reese, because whenever the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark play against an Angel Reese team, you've got the Reese-Caitlin Clark dynamic at play. Angel Reese, 11 points, 10 rebounds in the loss for Atlanta, who, as I said, has been one of the big stories early on in this WNBA campaign. Odds and ends. The end of the Women's College World Series. And I have to say, I watched more of it this year than I've watched in previous years. Congratulations to Texas. They knock off Texas Tech in the Women's College World Series last night. Final score was 4-1, and they are your Women's College World Series champions. Hats off to the Longhorns, who are your winners. And look at that venue. I mean, how great is that? I mean, if you want, there's a lot of bucket list items for different people. If you're a women's sports fan, this should be one of them. The NCAA Women's College World Series. We were talking about it earlier in the week with David Ardsma on the show about how cool the Women's College World Series is. And again, if you watched any of it over on ESPN, you got a good understanding as to why. Odds and ends this weekend, it will be the end of the French Open at Roland Garros. And the woman on your screen right now could finish writing one of the all-time great stories in the history of tennis. And I don't think that's being hyperbolic. Maja Walinska of Poland has an opportunity this weekend as a wild card to win at Roland Garros. Now, everybody knows this year at Roland Garros, it has been a veritable upset platter, if you will. Upsets all over the place in Paris. No former major champions going into the semifinals at Roland Garros. It will be Maja Walinska, who I think is ranked like 113th in the world going into this event. She's going to come out of it ranked in the top 25, which is crazy, just off of one showing. She's already made over $1 million just by making it to the finals. She's going to take on Mira Andreeva, who is one of those players that is thought of to challenge Aryna Sabalenka, Iga Swiatek as the top players in the world. Iga Swiatek, by the way, also of Poland. So who would have thought if you had somebody from Poland in the finals, it wouldn't be Swiatek. Instead, it's going to be Maja Walinska trying to pull off one of the great upsets in the history of sports. She went through the qualifiers at this event at Roland Garros. She went through qualifying. So she isn't just going to have to win 7 matches to win the title at Roland Garros. She's winning more than that because she went through qualifying. It's an amazing story, certainly one worth watching this weekend, and I hope you do. And that'll wrap it up for us on this Friday edition of the show. Thanks for watching all week long. Thank you to our guest, David Ardsma. Thank you to Kurt Heelan. Thanks to Tino Patino. And again, all of you at home for watching and making this show what it is. I'm Jason Page. Don't forget Sports Wrap weekends this weekend. And if not, we'll see you back here on Monday for an all-new edition of Sports Wrap. Bye-bye.